Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another How About Them Celtics. No. And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here on Saturday, March 22nd. Plenty of stuff going on. Celtics just started their road trip, beat the Jazz. Talked about that in yesterday's podcast. Go check that out if you want to hear about the game. Bunch of stuff going on. Obviously, all the fallout from ownership. My alarm's going off because I had to wake up early for this. How you doing, Sam?
Doing pretty good. Happy I already went running today. Day's off to a roaring start. Happy to be doing the show. It's going to be a fun show. We'll talk a little bit about what's been going on with the team. Obviously, the big sale. Bill Chisholm was talking to everybody, so we'll talk about that. We have a little update on Jaylen. Wyc spoke out on the radio, and we'll go over that, and then we'll go through your emails, check the standings, go around the NBA for some interesting headlines, to say the very least, and we'll do the rat list and get up out of here. Make sure you subscribe and leave a like, comment. Tell us what you're thinking of the new ownership and everything through the first couple days now. And again, hit the bell because we're here every day. New pods, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, game recaps, morning after each game. Other videos on the channel in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's start with more Bill Chisholm stuff. So Joe Mazzulla chatted with Bill Chisholm. It was reported that Bill got in contact, talked with Brad. We always, he talked with Wyc. He talked with a bunch of people. And Brad spoke with Adam Himmelsbach of the Globe about it a little bit. Before their game against the Jazz, Joe said it was great to connect with him. He just shared his vision, his excitement. I think it's great we have a guy from Massachusetts that's going to continue to carry this. He's just kind of shared his vision of his leadership and what it looks like. I'm looking forward to getting to know him more. Then at the same time, you're grateful for past ownership has done for us or what they have done for us. I think it's important to recognize that as well. They've been great. They left it better than they found it, which is a huge key. I'm grateful to Wyc and Steve or Pags and that group. And now we have a new group and the mission remains the same. Win at all costs and try to build a great organization and culture. I think this just cements the fact that like Bill Chisholm, everything we've seen from him, and it's very obvious that like, of course he was going to say this stuff, but everything we've seen and heard from Bill Chisholm is that this dude is just like a massive Celtics fan. It's kind of like when you hear the phrase like every adult is just a grown-up kid. Like this dude's just like a Celtics fan with billions of dollars. Like that's what it kind of feels like.
Yeah, I mean, this is the best sort of news we could have got in the first couple of days because it could have been silence. Like not every owner is a good owner. We talked about this a ton leading up to it because it was a very scary thing. Like anytime the team is up for sale, it's going to be scary because you don't know what kind of changes are coming, what kind of goals the person will have in mind. If they're just looking to make a little bit of money, it could really, impact a lot of people who care about what's going on. But no, I mean, he's kind of walking the walk along with talking the talk. Like, I don't really have a ton of experience with ownership changing, but I don't know of many owners who are coming in and being like, let's chat with the coach, chat with the people in charge, chat with Brad, like at least this soon, right? I feel like you wait for the sale to be final and everything first before you start getting involved. But that's pretty cool.
Definitely. I mean, Chisholm also went on NBC. He spoke with like Chris Forsberg and Wyc Grousbeck. I don't know if you saw this clip, but I'm going to play you this clip because I think it's funny.
I haven't seen it.
So NBC doesn't post a ton of stuff on their Twitter anymore, but they post on their TikTok a lot. And this was Bill Chisholm when he entered the room, I assume, or whatever it was, when he started talking with Chris Forsberg and Wyc Grousbeck, and just take a listen.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm a huge fan of yours.
Me?
Yes.
That has to be a lie.
Huge fan. Are you kidding?
Wow.
You and Abby have such a good rapport. You're amazing. I didn't realize it was going to be you. Oh my God, this is so cool.
You would have definitely said the interview if you knew that.
Who did you think it was going to be, Bill?
It's just Bill Chisholm fanboying over Chris Forsberg. Like, what are we doing? The new owner of the Celtics, $6 billion, not only knows Chris Forsberg, knows Abby Chin, and is like, oh my God, it's Chris fucking Forsberg.
Actually, might be worth an article.
Sign. It's funny, right? It's a good time. Like he's that in the weeds. He's that in the know. Very, very entertaining.
I wonder what was going through Forsberg's mind. He's like, what the fuck?
You saw his face. He's just like, me? You're talking about
it's the meme of Lil Sass point. He's like, me? The sketch he does where he gets drafted when he's watching the NFL draft. He's like, me? That was Forsberg during that interview.
Man.
I'm curious to see. I wonder if Chisholm will be at some of these games down the stretch or at the playoff games or anything like that. I'm curious to see how much he's around, going forward, because this has like a lot at stake beyond like us too. Like there are people that work for the team that, anytime you have a job and a new ownership or new management comes in, you have to be a little careful or worried because you don't know if they're going to want to make changes. And I'm sure that's the case for people that work the arena for the team, like whatever, and you worry about that a little bit. So we'll see what the vibes are like. I hope there's not a lot of change. It doesn't sound like he wants to make big changes. He said that he just kind of wants to carry on what they've been doing and build on it, which is good. But it all has to be seen. Time will tell.
Mhm. I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I wonder, I'm like briefly looking right now just to take a look. I wonder how many NBA ownership groups, like the lead owner, is from that city, like, or that state even, right? Like, I'm looking at some of these and I've gone through like 4 or 5 so far and I haven't found any. Like Wyc is obviously from here, but a lot of these guys are from overseas or they're from other places or they're from across the country and none of it is okay, they are from where they are. Okay, here's one. So Tillman Fertitta, the Rockets owner, is from Texas. So that's the first one I found, and I'm like 10 deep. It's a very, I think, good thing. Like, not saying like, oh my God, the Rockets owner is like the peak ownership guy. Like, I don't know, he's probably fine, but like,
Never heard of
I mean,
him.
they're good, so he's clearly been all right. But like, having guys who are willing to, have that extra, okay, we want to spend on the team. Obviously, Jeannie Buss is from California. That's a little bit different because she was just like, she like inherited the team kind of. So I don't know if that's exactly the same thing, but the point is, it's a good thing to have a guy who is invested a little bit. Mickey Harrison dropped out of the University of Miami, so I guess you can count him a little bit
Big win.
because he's got connections to the city. Regardless, man, it's important not to get ahead of yourself or ourselves or collective, whatever you want to call it. Like fans shouldn't get ahead of themselves. A lot of good signs so far is all I'll say.
Yep. And again, you have to take it all with a grain of salt because what is he going to say? This is a great money-making opportunity. Can't wait to fill my pockets even more. Like that's his introductory interview with Forsberg, just talking about how much money he's going to make. I mean, why don't we talk about the Wyc part of this too? Because Wyc went on the radio. He did WEI, Greg Hill's show. I think it was Friday morning, and he was talking about a bunch of different things related to the sale. One thing he was talking about was the roster. The roster is everything that we all care about. We're thinking about it quite a bit all season, just looking at the salary cap, thinking about the guys that are here, thinking about the luxury tax, thinking about keeping everybody together. And this is what Wyc had to say about that. The basketball penalties mean that it's even more of a premium now to have your basketball general manager be brilliant and lucky, which is funny. Because you have to navigate, because you can't stay in the second apron. Nobody will. I predict for the next 40 years of the CBA, no one is going to stay in the second apron for more than 2 years. And I mean, there are real penalties. We've talked about them when the new CBA dropped. I think it was 2023 when the official thing went into place. You can't make trades without going 110% of the salary of the other team. Your draft pick will slide to the end of the first round if you're hitting the repeater enough times. There's a lot of different, just weird boa constrictor-like penalties that are just going to squeeze the life out of these teams. And they do have to be afraid of that. Now, one thing Wyc didn't mention with this, though, was the money. They're not worried about the money. They're worried about the basketball penalties of this. And the fact that we're not hearing about money when it comes to the roster is good. Even though, I mean, it's coming from Wyc. It's not coming from Bill Chisholm. But it sounds like for the time being, the two do plan to work together. And they've both been very media-facing since the sale went out. I mean, I guess that's what you would expect. But both of them speaking on behalf of the team is strange. And it does sound like a partnership here for at least the first couple of years.
I will say, hearing them not talk about finances, like, money being the province of basketball pennies, it's good depending on what your definition of good is. Because if your definition is good is, then they can keep the team together, that is not what this is. That is the exact opposite of what this is. This is the problem with keeping the team together is not us paying for it. The problem is we can't because of the penalties. This does not mean they're going to keep everybody. This means they're almost certainly going to have to make somebody, get somebody gone or trade somebody, right? Like, I don't want to misconstrue what Wyc is saying here. Wyc is explaining that don't come for Bill Chisholm's throat when we eventually have to trade somebody, because it has nothing to do with whether or not he or I or somebody is willing to pay. It has to do with the fact that we will get fucked by the CBA penalties, right? Like, this has nothing. That's how I read it, at least. Like, I don't think this is going to change the fact that they're going to end up having to trade somebody, right? The Celtics are projected to be, so right now this season, the Celtics are $4 million above the second apron. They are one of 3 teams above that second apron. The Bucks got under it when they made their trades at the deadline. Next year, I don't know how great these projections are because they have some work to do. So it could be worse than this. They're currently projected 17 million above the second apron. When you add in, I don't know if this accounts for having to pay Luke, having to pay Al, having to do stuff like that. They could be upwards of, like, let's just say they pay Luke 12 million and Al 5 million, right? Let's just, for the sake of it, that'd be around 34. Guess who makes around 34? You know what I'm saying? Like there's a very obvious answer for what you have to do to get under that second apron, which they have now been over for. Is this their second year in the second apron? Let me double check the 23. I assume they were 23, 24 second apron. They were a second apron team that year. So, Wyc coming out and saying no one's going to be a second apron team for more than 2 years, as the Celtics are in their second year of being a second apron team, kind of screams to me they don't plan on being in the second apron for a third year in a row. Like, the penalties for that get crazy, and like Wyc defining it exactly like that again as the team who has just been in the second apron for 2 years. Like, come on, that is like, it's got to happen. Like that is what it screams to me, at least.
It does say that. I do wonder if team success plays any factor into this year. And I also have been hearing since the sale, like, more and more about people are looking at this Sam Hauser contract, the $10 million, being like, what if they moved off that?
Not the problem, guys. I know. It's just not the problem on the roster. Oh, man. Like, for context, I want to find all the second apron penalties and like what they mean, but I need to find.
Should we power rank the second apron penalties?
If I can find them. Okay, some clarifications about second apron penalties. This is a Reddit post, so take it with a grain of salt, but it has them all listed, and I couldn't find. Like, I'm not going to go through the whole CBA. First round picks 7 years out cannot be traded. So a 25-26 season would mean the 32, 33 pick could not be traded. Whatever, right? Maybe you're like, okay, who cares? Teams will no longer be able to use the taxpayer MLE, vet mins only. That would screw you a little, because that's the contract you probably maybe want to use for Luke. So that's one that you can look at and say, even if you don't want to pay Luke the full 12, like, that is the place you would use for a Luke contract above a minimum, which would keep around, right? If a team remains in the second apron 3 out of 5 seasons, their first round pick will automatically move to the end of the round. And again, maybe you're like, whatever, but not ideal, right? Like, if
you hope that it would be there anyway.
Exactly. But if something happens, right, you don't want to get screwed. Outgoing salaries cannot be aggregated or combined in trades. We know that. Cannot acquire a player in return in an outgoing sign-in trade. We know that. Teams can't use trade exceptions created from a prior year. Teams can no longer use cash in trades, right? So it just really, really constricts what you're able to do. And the Celtics would start losing picks and start losing opportunities. It would fuck their future, basically, because when this title run ended naturally, should they pay everybody, they wouldn't have the first round draft picks that they would be able to cash in on. They wouldn't have had the ability to keep guys with the MLE like Luke Cornett or other guys that end up playing well. They wouldn't have the ability, to, combine. Like, it's just, there's so many restrictions that continue to punish you and punish you and punish you. Plus the stuff Bobby Marks tweeted the other day where, all the taxes you're paying for every single signing when you're a second apron team. Like, it's just a lot. And it has nothing to do with money paid out of Bill Chisholm's pocket and everything to do with hurting the Celtics' ability to put a competent basketball team on the floor.
I feel like these are decisions that also need to be vetted by Brad. It needs to be whether or not Brad thinks, plan A is best for the team, plan B is best for the team, like whatever, because he's ultimately the one having to pull all the strings, having to put the roster together, having to figure out how all these pieces fit as a team in terms of playing together on the floor. Like there's a lot that goes into having the Celtics be playing basketball at the level that they're at. You just want to look at the personalities involved with this team over the last year and a half, right? Or almost 2 seasons, right? They go in and they go all in. They shove all the chips in the middle of the table. They go get Porzingis. They go get Holiday. If they fuck that up, these guys can be the same exact players that they are, but they just have like a little bit more prick in them. The team might not work the way that it did last year. Drew Holiday, how often this season, especially over the last like 3 weeks, have we talked about Drew Holiday and been impressed with what he's doing, with what he's being asked to do, and how he's come back off this mallet finger and just been like, yeah, all right, like I'll just do whatever you want. Like I don't really care if I'm getting shots, but if I get shots, I'll probably make them. Or yeah, I'll dish out the ball. Like that stuff's really important. So I'm not saying that that's going to impact them getting rid of one of those guys, but going forward, you need to really be able to think about what penalties from the CBA are going to hinder me from being flexible with the type of guys I can get.
In my opinion, it's really that MLE that hurts.
The
you the
MLE
most.
one is tough.
Like you lose Luke effectively. It kind of feels like, and
Luke is a good personality guy.
Exactly. And if you're thinking like, well, obviously, like we picked Drew over Luke, like, yeah, sure, maybe like that's, I guess, part of what goes into it. But then you also consider it's not just Luke for Drew. It's not just that stuff. It is also, we also can't use our pick, to trade. And if something goes wrong, we won't have that. And we won't be able to pick until the end of the first round for the next X amount of years. And the taxes are only going up. And it's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm just sitting here waiting for that first team to be a 3 out of 5 years violator of the CBA and like have a Sixers season like they're having right now.
Yeah. That's very, very real. Like that is
brutal.
Really bad thing that could happen. But before we continue, I need to tell you guys about PrizePicks. PrizePicks, the best place to get real money sports action this basketball season. If you can believe it, Sam and I lost on PrizePick once again during the Jazz game. I know it
must be a day that ends in Y.
We're not having the best of luck. Regardless, it's still the best place to get real money sports action this basketball season. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 extra cash. It's best place to get action in more than 30 states, California, Texas, Georgia, and right here in Massachusetts. You can join over 10 million users and sign up today. It offers MasterCard now for quick and easy deposits into your account. Has fun promotions as well, like Taco Tuesday, where they discount player projections up to 25% to provide you more value for your lineups. Baseball season's coming up too, and you can combine players from different sports in your prize picks, so you can, have fun in multiple areas, unless you're us and you just lose. But regardless, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, let's talk Jaylen quick. So Jaylen, it was announced before the Jazz game, a little bit before, that he would miss the Jazz game and one other one and be out 2 games due to a bone bruise with a right knee posterior impingement. I still don't know what an impingement is. It's an intrusion. Okay, hold up. A painful condition caused by rubbing pressure on a tendon or nerve by adjacent structure. So it's just some tendon pain. But he's going to miss this game, the Jazz game that just happened, and their next game against the Blazers on Sunday. And then will be reevaluated on Monday. That does not mean he'll be back for the next game. It means he'll be reevaluated. I'm not overly worried about this. I think this is just, them doing what they need to do to get him healthy, but still.
I've been on the Jaylen needs a break train for quite some time. I'm not really worried about him sitting out. I'm happy about it. I think he could just benefit from some time off. anytime you have a tendon injury, that shit sucks. Like, it makes it really hard to do things that should not be difficult to do. He's probably feeling a decent amount of pain anytime just for example, after he has that game in Boston when they play Utah and he has the dunk on Walker Kessler, and then he sits at the podium and winces after the game when he sits down. Like, he's probably feeling it from that thing. He's feeling it from the impingement. So I hope he gets better. I really don't care if I see him after Monday. Like, if I don't see Jaylen until April 2nd when they get back home, I do not care. Don't care.
It's fine. Let him chill. Let him chill a little bit. All right, let's read your guys' emails. Reminders always, you guys email us.
Before we do that, just a little Jaylen additional wrinkle. The games played. So there's 11 games left, 12 games left. And so after he comes back, there will be 11 games left. He'll have to play 9 to be eligible for awards. So that's something to watch. I don't care about that stuff. But
I would bet no.
He probably cares.
If I had to bet, I would bet he doesn't hit that mark unless he asks to do it or they find a way to scam to get him available. Because like he's probably not going to be supposed to play.
They do the
in those last couple games.
No,
seriously, they might
start and then sub out.
Because he's probably not going to even if he played in every other game, those Wizards Hornets games, probably not planning to play in those. So that is an interesting thing to watch down the stretch. But like I said, let's read your emails. A reminder, as always, you guys can email us at hbtcpod@gmail.com. That's hbtcpod@gmail.com. We got one today. RJ, the Baylor and Mamu show. Evening, folks, for all the analytics and deep dives. One of the most enjoyable parts of basketball at any level is seeing the improbable happen. T. White's put back in Game 6 in Miami. Pritchard and White teaming up for 84 points. But there's something extra special when someone who sits far at the end of the bench gets it going. Baylor's 22 points in 19 minutes wasn't just fun because the Celtics got the win. It got the crowd and the teammates energized. Then tonight, the NBA says, hold my beer, and unleashes Sandro Mamukelashvili in 34 points in 19 minutes. A near perfect shooting, 13 of 14 overall, 7 for 7 from deep, 1 perfect free throw. The announcers and crowd were bouncing with joy. Mamu got a standing ovation when he came out with 3 seconds left. And most importantly, or improbably, he got hugs from all Spurs, from Spurs fan Flavor Flav during his post-game interview. No explanation for either, just two guys that had incandescent games out of nowhere. NBA action, gotta love it. Be well, RJ. Shout out Mamu. That's my guy. I love Mamu.
It was a real shame what happened in that game. Knicks fans have been going through it. They were pissed. They lost to the Spurs and then the Hornets in just back-to-back games. It was a real shame. Real shame what Mamu had to do to them.
I tweeted when Mamu was entering the draft, I was watching the combine or something, and I tweeted I was this Mamukelashvili guy, he looks good. He's fun because he dribbles the ball. He's a big man. And I was he's kind of underrated. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes undrafted or goes late or whatever and then ends up being all right. And then out of nowhere, I see a DM and it says, time to prove people wrong, my guy. And it's just Sandro Mamukelashvili DMing me because I tweeted about him. So I'll always have love for Mamu. That's dope.
His name on Twitter sounds like another player we know.
A good guy right there. Shout out Mamu. NBA standings. Let's see what's going on. Cavs are in first still, but they're in a sketchy spot. Let me rephrase. They're not going to lose the 1 seed yet, right? But they are now bringing up questions. They have lost 4 in a row. Celtics have won 4 in a row, so it has gone from a 9-game lead to a 5-game lead in as little possible games. But that's the 1-2. Both teams have clinched the playoffs, by the way. The gap between the Celtics and the Cavs is officially smaller than the gap between the Celtics and the Knicks in third. And the Knicks are only 3 games ahead of the Pacers for the 3-4. So that's also something to watch because the Knicks are 4-6 in their last 10, and the Pacers are 6-4. Bucks are 1 game behind the Pacers, and Pistons are 1 game behind the Bucks. So that's still a little race there, and the Knicks are almost joining that race a little bit. Pistons are 5 games ahead of the Hawks. Probably not going to happen there. The same likelihood as the Cavs Celtics, regardless. Hawks Magic pulls Heat in that play-in. Heat 5 games above the Raptors for that 10 seeds. So that's probably not going to change either. And then Raptors, Nets, Sixers, Hornets, Wizards. The Wizards who have officially been eliminated from playoff contention.
So we have our first official elimination in the Eastern Conference, the Wizards. Time to call it a season, fellas. Good try. officially eliminated from playoff contention. Very tough. They've lost 3 in a row. The Heat 10 in a row. They're not on Pistons watch yet. It would be impossible for them to even be on that much of a burner of a losing streak because there are so few games left, unfortunately. But I think that's the first time Spoelstra's ever lost more than 8 in a row since becoming the head coach. So that is like newsworthy. And they're trying their absolute best to fall out of the play-in, but Toronto's just not going to let them. They're still 5 games separated, and doesn't look like Miami's going anywhere. Miami is 4-17 since trading Jimmy. I saw that today. Not good. Not good. Especially
Not
since
great.
Jimmy and the boys are buzzing out there in California right now. They're playing really good ball. But just to touch on the top play and low playoffs, Pistons had a bad loss yesterday. They lost to the Mavs. The Mavs, who are a fucking skeleton crew, somehow beat them. Very tough for the Pistons, who have cooled off lately. A lot of teams are just kind of cooling off, to be honest with you. The Celtics are the only team that has a better record than 6-4 in their last 10 in the entire conference.
Eastern Conference sucks. What's new?
It's a real shame. I always want the best teams to be in the East.
Okay, Western Conference. OKC still in front. 12.5 games above the Rockets. Rockets 2 games above the Lakers and Nuggets now. Rockets, who are all the way down in 5th, like inching towards 6, and now are 9-1 in their last 10. If the East is cold, the West is red hot right now. Jesus Christ. Rockets have won 9 in a row to shoot back up to 2nd place. Lakers and Nuggets and Grizzlies all 5-5, inching closer to the Warriors, who are also 9-1 like the Rockets in 6th. They are 1 game ahead of the Clippers and the Timberwolves, who are both 8-2 and probably pissed that the Warriors are so good right now. Kings and the Suns have finally climbed into the play, and they're the same record as the Mavericks right now. Mavericks who are 2-8 in their last 10, as we would expect. Blazers, Spurs, Pelicans, Jazz to round that out. It's looking like it's just going to be the Suns and Mavs, but the Blazers are only 2 games back, and they've won 4 in a row. So they're making things a little bit interesting as the Mavericks enter the Cooper Flag sweepstakes a little bit, which if they get Cooper Flag, it would all have been worth it. Would you say? I would agree. I would say that.
I wouldn't say all would be worth it because,
but it could be.
Like, there's no guarantee.
But there's a path.
Yes, it's a step in the right direction, and it's something you can sell your fan base. Even though the fan base will be like, "Are you gonna fucking trade this guy too?" Portland 4 in a row. I'm rooting for them, but they play the Celtics on Monday. So I can't root for them that hard because I still want the Celtics to win games. I want the Celtics to win 60 games. They have to go, what do they got? 12 left. So they have to go 9-3 in their last 12 to hit that mark. It would be cool to see.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Would you trade the Celtics not winning 60 if you knew that a win for the Blazers against the Celtics would guarantee them the 10 seed?
That's a good question. I don't know if I care enough.
About the Blazers or the Celtics 60?
Either one. Like, why do I give a fuck if they win 60? But like, I think I would just rather them win 60 than Portland get in. I don't know. But at the same time, like, I am rooting for Portland. Like, I'd rather see them in than Phoenix. Fuck Phoenix. Phoenix doesn't even like Phoenix. Why does anyone want to see Phoenix win?
Oh my God, Denny Avdia is playing out of his mind. What the fuck?
He just had like 36 yesterday.
Last 5 games, averaging 26, 10, and 6.
He didn't play in that first game against the Celtics, did he? Or he did?
He did. He was just meh. What?
It's never good if I have to ask if they played.
Yeah, West is getting interesting, man. Warriors are a motherfucker. They're gonna be a pain in the ass. I can feel it.
Oh man, right now we have Warriors Lakers round 1. Watch out.
That'd be a fun series. Yeah, these first round series would all be like interesting.
Silver would love that.
It'd be Thunder and probably like Timberwolves, Rockets, Clippers. Maybe that'd be the most boring. No one would give a fuck. But Nuggets, Grizzlies, and Lakers, Warriors would be great. Braun and Curry, and then Ja Morant and Jokic. Like, you'd have some juice in those series. So that'd be interesting. Speaking of the Mavs, though, as we were just talking about them, remember earlier in the season or a couple weeks ago when we were like, they could have to forfeit games. Well, the time is coming. Mavericks have 14 games left. Kessler Edwards only can play in 3. Kai Jones can only play in 11. Brandon Williams can only play in 6. and Dallas can't sign another player till April 10th, with 2 games left due to their first apron hard cap. Not good. Not good for the Mavs.
I want to see it happen because as of right now, the NBA does not have a rule for forfeiting. And I know this because when the Celtics beat the Knicks for the 3rd time by 1 billion points, I was like, what if the Knicks just started to forfeit these games? Like the point differential actually might not be as bad for them. But they actually don't have a rule. FIBA's rule is if you forfeit a game, the final score is 20-0 in favor of the team that beat you or that you forfeited to. So that could happen to the Mavs this year. I would be curious what solution the NBA comes up with for this because this is just a freak thing. Obviously, it's never happened because there's no rule for it. Nobody's ever just gotten this injured. If I had to guess, you're going to see if they get desperate, they're going to just have Anthony Davis come back because there was the report.
They'll probably just list
in the
an
G
injured
League.
player as healthy and then not play them. And then play
yeah, I
like
mean,
a
they could do
5
that too.
or 6 person lineup. Like I assume that is what's going to happen. But
It's too bad they don't play the Mavs again. That'd be fun to just like we would go to the Garden and just like watch the 3 guys on the Mavs warm up.
oh man, what a mess they've put themselves in, man. It is truly impressive how they've managed to.
Like I don't know. Let's see. So
Bubble
you're selling yourself on Kyrie and Anthony Davis, and Kyrie has torn his ACL or he tore his Achilles. What did he tear?
I don't remember. I think
He
it's
tore his
ACL.
knee. I think.
I think it's his ACL. He tore his ACL. Yes.
Tore his ACL, so he's going to be out. Like the point is, regardless of what the injury
He's not coming
was,
back.
he's not coming back. He's probably not going to come back for a lot of next season. They're in a really, really tough spot because they have his contract, Nadie's contract, and also Clay's contract. They're not going to have a lot of money to sign any free agents this year. Even then, like free agency is so like dead. Nobody gets players through free agency anymore. They just get them through trades. So I don't really know how they have any plan for it. I think if they were lucky enough to get Cooper Flag.
It is funny that they're probably going to use, or Nico's probably to use this Kyrie injury as plausible deniability. Like we could, like think of what we could have done if Kyrie was healthy. Like it would have worked. The vision just—it's not my fault. His ACL got hurt. Like my vision was gonna pan out. I promise.
It's almost like what Pags did with the statement where he was like, luxury tax be damned. And like, if the Celtics cheap out or whatever, he can be like, well, I would have paid it.
Fuck out of here, Pags. I respect you trying, but I don't know.
I love that. He literally just did a statement that said, not my money.
Yeah, but no. What a mess the Mavs have put themselves into. Next thing, Devin Booker spoke about the Suns a little bit. Nothing crazy, but he did say that he told Fox Sports that talent only gets you so far. I've been on teams with less talent that found ways to get more wins. It's just the little things, what people always say, the details of the game, although it sounds like we should know that at this point of our careers, just something you need to form and develop through trial and error. When asked if he believes he could be traded too, he pointed to the fact that no one is safe because of Luka trade. Look at the situation they got Luka here. I understand that it's a business, been around a long time. The Luka trade is probably the craziest we've seen, but the game just keeps going. Listen, I don't know if Booker gets traded. Matt Ishbia has come out and said, we're not trading him. We're not trading him. I don't know what to think of Matt Ishbia right now, but that's, yeah.
He has been adamant on that. He said they will not trade Devin Booker. Devin Booker has spoken that he doesn't really want to not play for Phoenix, which I suppose is good for the organization. Maybe that'll buy them more patience from him if they need to retool the roster, which they do. But they really can't start that process in the best way until Beal's not making $50 million out of their salary cap. So they're kind of just stuck. I don't know. I think if you're Devin Booker and you're just looking at that Beal contract next to you, you almost have to rethink if you want to stay there. Because that's at least, 3 more years on the contract that he's just going to have mediocre to bad teams. It's borderline impossible to build a good roster that way.
I think at this point, Devin Booker doesn't want to stay with the Suns because he wants to win. I think he wants to stay with the Suns and help them win, if that makes sense. Like I think it's I've been a Sun. I don't want to not be a Sun. That's my point. I don't think the point is. I don't think he's looking at this and saying, "No, I have my best chance to win here." Like, no fucking, obviously not. Like, I don't think he's stupid, but I just think he wants to be in Phoenix, and it's 2 more years of Beal after this one for what it's worth. So,
I mean, it's doable. It's just I don't know where they go from here. They're gonna whatever they get for Durant is gonna be the big like telltale sign, because Durant's trade value right now is not what it's probably the lowest it's ever been. Like, if you think about, like, he gets drafted, people are high on him, probably could have got a good return at that point. He's a superstar, megastar, MVP level guy. Could have got a huge haul for him. Phoenix gives up a big haul for him. And now he's in his 19th season next year. What are you really going to get back for Kevin Durant? With the new CBA and teams terrified of it, you heard Wyc talk about it, where he was like, teams are you'll probably never see a double or three-peat luxury tax team. Do you really want Durant making all your money? Especially, like, not even thinking about his slight decline in like skill or defensive ability, but just, I mean, I feel like we always hear about Durant being hurt. Durant's hurt quite a bit now. I mean, he's just getting older.
I wonder if you could get the Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, like Jaime Jaquez and picks package. Like, you think that would do it?
Jaquez would be a good thing to get back. The picks would be good to get back.
Wiggins is fine. Good player.
Wiggins is a fine, like, put him in the lineup guy.
Would that make the Suns better?
It might, because they'd be deeper. Wiggins defends. I mean,
Jaquez,
what you get
player.
from Jaquez. I just think the thing is about Phoenix is they will have top end talent, even if, like, I'm not really a believer in Beal. I'm not the biggest Booker guy either, but you have guys that are like good players. Like, Beal is putting up decent statistics for what he's getting paid, or not for what he's getting paid. If you take his pay out of it, he's putting up decent numbers. You've read him several times. It's like an efficient 20 and, change. It's fine. If you have guys that can actually just fill the roles beside those guys, your team probably gets a little bit better.
Yeah. Do you think there's a Knicks angle to be had here
for Durant?
Think about it. Like, they fail.
What is it?
They fail miserably.
They trade Bridges back to Phoenix.
It'd probably have to be OG. I think. Yeah, I think it'd have to be OG. And Mitchell Robinson.
Mitchell Robinson, yeah.
We wouldn't be able to, like,
if I want that. Both those guys are always hurt.
OG, Mitchell Robinson, and picks. I guess they don't have a ton of picks left. I don't know. It's a tough spot for the Durant trade, man. Before we keep talking about that, though, I want to tell you guys about Gametime, because it's never a tough time with Gametime, which is the best place to get your ticketing needs this basketball season and this baseball season when it comes up. Let me check out Gametime. Excuse me. Sorry. I got scared of the great deals. Here's Gametime here. Let's see what's coming up around us. Let's see. Kendrick Lamar's coming to town. We could look at that. Let's go to Supercross at Gillette Stadium, Sam. You ever been to Supercross?
Never will. Never will be.
Never. But if you wanted to, you could get your tickets on Gametime. And I will say, this is actually a pretty cool feature. I didn't know they did this even. They changed the mapping of Gillette Stadium to show you exactly what it'll look like for Supercross. So if you did want to watch Supercross, it'll also show you your view for a Supercross event. I didn't expect this either. And this is an amazing deal because it tells you exactly the type of deal you're getting with that emblem. If you see the fire emblem, you know you're getting the cheapest deal. And then right here highlighted, you see the super deal, which is the best value for bang for your buck, I should say. So there's that, and you can swivel it around and see where you'd see. You can toggle on a filter to show you the fees you're paying as well, so you're not surprised at checkout with any fees that were maybe hidden or you didn't know about when you were looking at the prices on Gametime. There's that. They also have lowest price guarantee, which is literally that lowest price guarantee. Your game time will credit you 110% of the difference. Also, game time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. All those features and more make it the best place to get your tickets this basketball season or the Supercross season, if that's what tickles your fancy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Anything else you want to talk about, KD, or are we done with that? I mean, we can look at more trades if we want, or we can just go to
Charlotte. Charlotte just gets desperate trades for KD. Like, I think any team that trades for him is just going to have to be one of these, like, bottom of the barrel, desperate fucking teams. Like, maybe Washington really feels good about winning more than, 5 games in the last, 2 months or whatever. Well, like, they've actually not.
See, I don't think I agree. I think there could be some decent teams out there that are going to continuously fall short that might be in on KD. Like, you don't think the Grizzlies are going to be in on KD?
It depends how much you value depth. Like, I think depth is the thing that you want in the NBA now.
Well, if there's any team, there is such a thing as too much depth. Like, there is, genuinely. There is such a thing as too much depth. And if there's any team that has it, it's probably the Grizzlies, right? Like
Houston.
Or Houston. Like, you could trade, it would be like Desmond Bane, Brandon Clark, and John Conchar. Would that get you there? Or would it have to be Luke Kennard into the Conchar? Excuse me. Let me see the salary. Okay, it would have to be Luke Kennard. So, Luke Kennard's expiring though, so that makes things a little bit. Never mind. According to this, it works with just Bane and Clark because they're flexible enough in the summer. They probably will be. So they could also probably trade somebody else. But like Bane, Clark, maybe they push you. The Suns are like, hey, we need more for KD. Is they give us Vince Williams or GG Jackson as well. You throw that in, and then you give us like the picks, and then that leaves you with John Morant, Jaren Jackson, Zach Edey, Santi Aldama, Scottie Pippen, Kevin Durant, Jalen Wells. Like, you still have a full 9-10 man rotation, like completely full.
You could do it. I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm doing if I'm any of these teams. The CBA is just not ruined the league, but they've ruined the transactions. Like, you cannot think about making a transaction now, or like we're talking about this, and I'm just like, would I do it? Would I do it? Like, I don't know, man. I'm terrified of, like, what if I spend my money in the wrong place? Like, there's real penalties for fucking up the contracts you give or the trades you make now, where before you just be bad, but now you're like bad and you're like locked into being bad because nobody's going to help you get off of that money.
Yeah, it's tough. What if the Clippers traded for Kevin Durant? They could get there. They could get there. They'd have to trade one of their guys, but
okay. Well, if they trade one of their guys, it's a little different. I was gonna say if they trade for KD, they just become the Suns.
Maybe
3 guys that have big names and a bunch of guys that you have no idea. You couldn't pick them out of the lineup.
Yeah, maybe. Well, they could keep Zubac. They could keep Chris Dunn. They could keep Batum for one more year. They could keep Amir Coffey. It would have to be like Norm Powell, Bogdanovich, and Derek Jones. So they'd trade a little bit of their depth, but I don't know. Who knows what they're going to do with KD? It is what it is. Last NBA thing before the rat list here. So I read this title on Hoops Hype, and I don't even know like what there's discussed. I just thought the title was ridiculous. The headline I read: Crips leader defrauded Draymond Green, Shaquille O'Neal. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? And so the blurb: following a years-long FBI investigation, federal authorities have accused Henley of kidnapping and fatally shooting a young rapper in the face and leaving his body in the Las Vegas desert over perceived disrespect in directing robbery of an unlicensed LA marijuana dispensary that had stopped making extortion payments. Henley also allegedly defrauded companies, donors, athletes, and celebrities, including NBA star Draymond Green and Lakers legend Shaquille O'Neal, persuading them to donate to his charities and later allegedly transferring the money to his personal bank accounts. So Draymond Green and Shaq got defrauded by the leader of the Crips, which is just like a ridiculous thing that I saw in the news.
I think the most ridiculous part of this is he shot the guy in the face over quote unquote disrespect. That was what did it.
Yeah, that's life, man.
He was just like,
that's all it takes.
I don't like the way he's fucking looking at me. That's something you do on Grand Theft Auto, not fucking real life. And then go roam in the desert.
A lot of people, it is real life.
Real life.
A lot of people, that's real life, man. That's the thing. Anyways, I just thought that was
you're in the
insane headline.
Party with your boys. You're like, you know what, Frank? Like, I don't like the way you're fucking looking at me. What do you mean? Get over here. You fucking shoot him. Like, that's what it would be.
Yeah, that's how it be, man. All right, Ratless, what do you got for me outside of that? I suppose.
Ratless has been March Madness, man. I think I've lost every bet. I don't think I think I won one bet this weekend so far. It's Saturday morning, so we haven't had the Saturday or Sunday games yet. But through the first round, my bracket isn't looking good, which nobody gives a fuck. Also, stop saying your bracket's busted because it's lame. But I've lost like every single bet. It's been brutal. Got hoed on the Florida game, but like that was the only one that was close. The rest of them weren't even close. Just got killed. The whole like
Oklahoma was close.
It was somewhat close, sure. Yeah.
They were in it till the end, unfortunately. But it didn't matter. Let me see. I don't know. I think all my brackets are awful this year anyway, so it doesn't matter. I think I'm cooked. Yeah. so fucking bad. I am 23% right and 17% right.
Oh my goodness.
I had Oklahoma winning in one of mine.
Oh my goodness. No, Jack. That's not good.
Really bad. That's okay. Yeah, it's whatever. I had UNC going to the Elite Eight and won. They're out. I had I had UNC going to the Final Four and won. And they're gone. Are you rooting for anybody March Madness, or do you just not care anymore?
I'll probably root for UConn.
That's what I was gonna say. Now that they're out, I'll probably root for UConn. 3-peat would be fun. But outside of that,
I was rooting for Bryant. Bryant was in it. I was watching the Bryant game, like talking myself into it. I was like, what if they win?
They were in it for like a half.
Yeah, like they came out and like played really well. The problem watching college games is actually so funny because
like 25.
When you watch as much like NBA as we do, and like you're paying attention to so many things in the NBA, you watch a college game, and there are like really nice parts of watching a college game because these guys aren't as good. So they have to move the ball and create like better looks for themselves. But at the same time, if you're a team like Bryant playing in a game where you're just outmatched, you have to take difficult shots every single time. And that's what they were doing in the first half, and they just were making them.
The biggest difference, and the reason I don't like watching college as much, the gap in shot making abilities is unbelievable.
Like wide open threes, just like not even close.
Never. It's bad. Ratless, my friends, they made fun of me for the way I put on a sweatshirt. And I didn't
How do you put on a sweatshirt?
It's like one of those things where, when every once in a while when you don't realize what you're doing is weird. And I was like going out to like grab food, and they're like, "Whoa, run that back. I'll show you. I'll give a demo."
All right.
So I need to take my headphones off, so I won't be able to hear you. But
all right.
So I grab my sweatshirt, I put it on like this, and I bring it back here, and then I put it over my head like that.
What the hell?
Is that weird?
Yes.
Well,
why don't you just put it on like a normal shirt?
What'd you say?
I said, why don't you just put it on like a normal shirt?
Listen, watch. Because I put it on normal shirt, like you're supposed to like put it up here and then pull it down, right?
Yeah.
Ready? Okay, so watch. If I do that, I put both arms in. I'll put it in. Where'd my glasses go?
Okay, I
Yoink. See you
see.
later.
Yeah.
But if I pull it back here first, right, and then go like this, I can like pull it over my glasses on the way down. You know what I'm saying?
That does make sense. That does
There's
make
a reason for it. But they all saw me and they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I'll like do alternative methods of putting the sweatshirt on if I've just done my hair and I don't want it to get all fucked up as like I put my thing on. But all I do is like I just roll up like the torso part of it and like make it one big hole where I can put my head through.
Yeah, sure. I could also just take the glasses off, but I don't.
You could just take the glasses off.
But what are you gonna do?
Ratless the wind. It's been windy for a fucking month here. What the fuck? I was so mad yesterday. It was like nice out weather-wise, but the wind ruined it. I was going to go for a run in the afternoon, and I was just like, why does it sound like the Wizard of Oz outside of my house? I'm not going outside and trying to fight this. And I like went outside to get like our trash barrels because the trash had come that day to collect the whatever. And I was like, there's no way I could do like a half-hour plus run today with that in my face. No way.
Danny went on a 16-mile run today.
What a man. What a dude, man. Crazy.
He's
The most
training,
I think
man.
I've ever done is like 10.
He's training. He's got to.
He's a dog.
He's a dog indeed. Shout out. My roommate group chat text. We're so in Jack's head on the sweatshirt thing. He's talking about it on the pod right now. Beachfront property. Danny text. Can't wait for the pod viewers to turn against Jack.
They've already turned, Danny. I'm sorry.
Fuck you, Mike. Piece of shit. You can hear me. I think that's all I got, though, if you want to wrap it up there.
The final ratless is I've had to fucking take a piss for the whole like back half hour of this podcast. So
Why did you
I
say
agree
something?
with-
There's a pause button.
that's all right. It wasn't like that bad.
I see. Well,
And
we
I
can
was
get out
like,
of here
it'll be funny.
regardless.
I'll save it for the rat list.
Okay. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to How About Them Celtics, and I'll let Sam take it out.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. We're here every single day with new content, so be around for all of it. Full pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps are up the morning after each game. Other videos are on the channel in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. You can find us streaming pregame live here for a half hour before tip-off. You'd see us chat with the chat, lose it, prize picks, hopefully redeem ourselves at GeoGuessr. GeoGuessr was on the rat list yesterday, just putting us in all the cornfields and in the forest, just middle of nowhere, no way to tell where you were at. It was brutal. But yeah, we're here for all of it. So subscribe, stick around. We're here on Spotify and Apple too. If you just want the podcasts and recaps, they're up there for you. So go ahead, follow, they'll go right to your feed, leave a 5-star review. You can email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. You saw RJ do it today. Tell us what you've been most impressed with in March Madness. If there are any players that have stuck out to you that are like, what if the Celtics drafted them? hbtcpod@gmail.com. Our socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Facebook's just the name of the pod. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter is Jack's1NBA. His TikTok is at Jack's1NBA. He's putting out content there all the time. And you can follow me on Twitter at Sam LaFrance NBA. I'm trolling all the time. That's it for us. Bye.
Taco, come on. Taco.